Hello, welcome or welcome back to Heretic Owl Tarot. My name is Liz and I will be guiding you on this journey today. This is a reading for the 2-4 human design profile. If you don't know your human design profile, there's a link in the description below for you to get your human design body graph. And amongst the plethora of information about you on there, one of the bits will be your profile. So, even if you know absolutely nothing about human design, or very little, or if you know a lot, or anywhere really in between, this message is obviously still for you. I try my best to not use like a ton of human design language because really these messages are meant to just be an additional channel of information, because like not every 2-4 is an Aries or a Capricorn, whatever, right? So I definitely obviously recommend that you check out your zodiac sign readings, but also hopefully these messages just kind of add on to that. So with that being said, and also last bit, I would love if you subscribed to the channel. I'm just going to shuffle these a bunch and then we'll get your cards out. I'm doing this spread a little bit different. It's a 3-card spread with a clarifier for each position. All right. For the 2-4. Current energy is the 4 of inspiration. Love that. What's leaving is the moon. What's coming in is the hanged muse or the hanged man. And then to clarify the 4 of inspiration, we have the ace of voices or the ace of swords. For the moon, we have the justice card. And for the hanged muse, we have the 5 of inspiration or the 5 of wands. So the amount of times that I have started and stopped this message, anytime I do readings, whatever is like going on, whatever I'm feeling, whatever is like happening outside of just these cards, I do believe that it is part of the message. And like I said, like I have stopped and started this message. I can't even tell you how many times. I haven't even counted. It's actually even been a couple days since I pulled this spread. And I was like, maybe I should pull a new spread. I shuffled the cards. I should have shown that. I mean, I could probably do it again, but I shuffled cards, asked if I should pull a new spread. The message that I got was no, that this is the message. So I just wonder, like in your own life, if you're experiencing some sort of like stop and start, it's like that 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I mean, you're still taking a step forward. It just doesn't feel as impactful or as many, I should say, as like obviously 2 steps. So I don't know, but let's just get into your message. Let's just go through each card, because literally now I'm here like step by step, right? Like let's just start with the first card, which is the 4 of wands. We also have 2 progressions in this reading, which I love a progression, because it really does show that we are moving through energy. Not that, I mean, we're always moving through energy, right? But again, this just tells me that there is some progress, some likely even progress that you're going to see in your everyday life. We have the 4 of inspiration to the 5 of inspiration, and then the justice card to the hanged man. So anyway, we start with the 4 of wands, and wands have to do with action, taking action towards something. It's the motivation behind the actions that we take. Creativity, passion. How are we communicating those things? What actions are we taking towards those things? I also see wands as being information by way of experience. So that's what we get by trying things, right? We figure out what works. We figure out what doesn't work. What do we like? What don't we like? What stays, what goes, right? And truly the only way to figure those things out is by trying. We get wisdom, we get information, we get clarity even. So when we get to the Four of Wands, the Four of Wands talks about celebration, union. It is sometimes depicted as like the marriage card because it's kind of like that, two modalities, two families, two people coming together. There are usually other people involved with the Four of Wands. And also it talks about getting to a place of security and firm foundation, because usually the Four Wands are set up in a way where it almost looks like a square. You know, I mean, even just think of like a table, right? There's four legs that make it secure, that make it sturdy, right? And even in this card, we have these four figures. There's a string coming up from each one of them. To me, this really feels like finding a community, feeling supported by the people around you. Like it's almost giving Three of Cups energy, but instead of cups being our emotions, it's almost having productive friendships or connections with people. It's giving me this feeling of like contentment with the people around you. And also, I was getting this thought about making a dollar out of 4 quarters instead of 10 dimes or 20 nickels or 100 pennies. Like I always kind of use that analogy because I keep my friend circle pretty small, and it just kind of ended up that way anyway. But like I was never one of those people, even when I was younger, I was never one of those people that had really big friend groups. I wanted to be one of those people. But a big group of people is like a no thanks to me. So I always use that analogy. I'd rather make a dollar out of 4 quarters versus having 10 friends or 20 friends or 100 acquaintances, right? So it almost just kind of seems like, again, like really honing in on to like, because this is a current energy, right? So I could even just be really honing in on who you want to have around you. Do they add something to the experience of your life? Do you add to their experience of their life, right? The Ace of Swords or the Ace of Voices is clarifying the Four of Inspiration. So that tells me, again, like I was just saying, it could be getting some new clarity on the people that you have around you. It could be getting new clarity too on like if you are in a good place, right? Like if you do feel secure, if you have a sense of harmony in your life, you could be, again, getting more clear on what that is for you. And also too, like what's next? Because the Ace of Swords, it is seeing the truth of something. It could be new inspiration. It could be new ideas, new perspectives. Aces are new though. So there's something new coming in. It has something to do with your mental space, your mindset about the Four of Wands. And then we have the Moon, which is clarified by the Justice card. So the Moon is ruled by Cancer. Justice is Libra. I cannot remember the Hanged Man. For some reason, I want to say Neptune. But we just had a full moon in Aries last week, which is the opposite sign to Libra. But the moon talks about secrets, the subconscious, just not having all of the information yet, feeling like in limbo. It could be uncertainty also. This is what is in the position of what's leaving. And then we have the Justice card with it. So the Justice card talks about balance, like the scales balancing. Like I said, right? I mean, that full moon was like the moon was opposing the sun, right? Like that's how we got to have a full moon. So the sun was in Libra, the moon was in Aries. So there could have just been something that happened around at literally at any point last week, because I think the full moon was actually on the 17th. So, within a couple days before or after that, where again, like this clarity could have happened within your friend group, within your work group, within your peer group. And it could have just been boom, just like that. Like either something happened, something was said, something was felt, whatever the case may be. It was just like, boom, there's a new perspective on it. A truth was revealed. Because what's leaving is the uncertainty. What's leaving is not having clarity. What's leaving is like, not, almost maybe not even accepting the reality of things. The Justice card to me paired with the moon, it's like something was brought to light. It could be seeing the resolution of a situation finally, good, bad, otherwise. Justice also has to remain objective, right? Like it's basing a judgment on facts, like on evidence, right? Like if we're thinking court cases, the jury can only deliberate on the evidence that was presented. They can't use their own feelings, their own opinions, right? Like they can't say something else happened if it wasn't presented to them as evidence in the trial, right? So again, with this being like in the position of what's leaving, and I hope that this is even making sense. Part of me is like feeling kind of anxious about that, but also like I'm trying to like keep my own head out of it, because every time, like whenever I sit down for these readings anyway, I do set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. So I do try to set like my own mental self aside. And I really do just try to like receive messages from, higher consciousness, from, and anyway, so when I do start getting in my own head is when I start saying shit like that, like, oh, I hope this is making sense. I just have to trust that it is. So then what's coming in is the Hanged Man and the Five of Inspiration. The Hanged Man and the Five of Wands. It's interesting because in the Four of Inspiration, there's clearly 4 different people in that card, right? In the Five of Inspiration, there's one person in 5 different positions, 5 different, So the Hanged Man talks about suspension, delay. It is seeing things from a different perspective. I feel like it's even interesting that the way that this figure is positioned, they're literally looking at the Four of Inspiration. Even just the way that the cards are laying on the table, right? And then just their position and looking at the Four of Inspiration. So it really, this overall vibe just has this feeling of really looking at your life. Who is involved in your life? And that could be any aspect. It could be friendships. It could be work. It could be romantic, right? Platonic. Did I already say that? So, but it's like really taking a look at that. There's something that is going to be revealed here. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like this major thing, but it could just be the straw that broke the camel's back type of thing. And it really kind of causes you to see things differently. Maybe even too, it's just showing you a different perspective surrounding relationships. Because the Five of Wands talks about conflict, competition. I also see it as like conditioning or training, and I always think of Mulan with the Five of Wands. Because, you know, like when they all show up for warrior training, it's, you know, like it's a shit show at first, right? Everybody's all cocky and arrogant and, you know, kind of coming from a place of ego and just not really working together, right? Like ruffling feathers. And eventually, through time and exposure to each other, they start developing friendships, they start developing, you know, relationships within each other. They learn how to work together, they train together, right? And then they're able to go on and be successful in battle. That's the Six of Wands. And what's interesting is that in this Five of Wands, there is all these mirrors here. They look like mirrors to me, but I guess they also look like portals. This one is hilarious. Like, what? That is hilarious. But also, I mean, it is just because of the imagery, right? And I'm just being like immature. But also, even just, you know, the placement here with it being in the position that it is, that is also a portal, especially for women. It really is. It does feel like making a decision, but it also involves some level of like self-reflection because to like a thing that's coming up for me a lot lately is I statements. Like, you know, the whole, when you point at somebody, you have three fingers pointing back at you, right? Anytime we say you are making me feel this way, you are acting this way, you're bugging me, you're whatever, right? There's three fingers that are pointing back at us. So there is a self-reflection thing that's coming through with the Five of Inspiration. If something bothers you, why? Where does that come from? Are you projecting more than likely? And if you are, again, where does that come from? You know, and I just actually noticed, I just noticed on the Hanged Man, because all of a sudden I looked down and my eye went right to this portal here. And like I said, there's all of these, they look like mirrors to me, but then, I mean, it's not like they're reflecting anything back. There's clearly a different environment on the other side than what is here because this is all orange. So I'm still going with the mirror thing of like, you know, reflecting. But also, you know, it really is having even to all of these different opportunities to change your environment, to change your perspective, to change the outcome. This again can even be the ways that you show up. This really does feel like some sort of like self growth, self like contemplation. What an interesting reading. And like I said, I hope that makes sense. It really does just feel like, you know, either friendships are very important to you right now, or making new connections, or even just how you go about that, you know, how you go about making friends or not. Do you even want to? Like, right? Like, big emphasis on that. I'm going to trust that it makes sense. So thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon. Bye.